And welcome back to Newsmax Now. The Senate passes a temporary spending bill that would fund the government through November 21st. The measure buys lawmakers more time to work out their disagreements on border and security issues. Currently a $1.4 trillion bundle of bills, which includes a measure that gives Trump $5 billion to build his wall, is now hung up in Congress. This comes after the Senate voted to end Trump's emergency declaration on the southern border. And 11 Republicans joined with Democrats to kill the declaration. Back in March, the Senate also rejected it, but Trump vetoed the measure and instructed the Department of Defense to divert the funds to help with the border crisis. The administration has so far allocated about $6 billion in funding for the construction of the wall, but today President Trump continued to blame Democrats for obstructing on border security.
I'm using Mexico to protect our border because the Democrats won't change loopholes in asylum. When you think of that, and I want to thank Mexico, 27,000 soldiers they have. But think of how bad that is. Think of it. Well, we use Mexico because the Democrats won't fix our broken immigration system. We need their votes. If we don't get their votes, we can't do it.
And joining us now to talk more about this is Michelle Malkin, host of Michelle Malkin Investigates, which you can catch every weekend right here on Newsmax TV. Great to see you, Michelle.
Thank you, John.
Also, and of course, mention she's the author of the great new book, Open Borders, Inc., Who is Funding America's Destruction. And Michelle, listening to President Trump, I got to agree with him there. Who would have thought that President Trump would say he has more confidence in the Mexican military to secure our border than he does in Democrats on Capitol Hill?
Well, that just shows how radical and extreme the Democrat Party has become. The fringe is the center now, and they have obstructed Trump's immigration enforcement measures, attempts to gain control over every aspect of our system. And the fact that we have to rely on a foreign government to cooperate more than these Democrats in the Beltway swamp tells you everything you need to know about what's going to happen as we head towards Election Day 2020.
Now, Trump says the Democrats are the problem, but as we mentioned, there were 11 Republicans in the Senate that voted with Democrats to stop President Trump's emergency declaration. That's down from 12. 12 Republicans voted against it the last time. I guess that's some sort of improvement, but what would you say to these 11 Republicans who are voting against the president?
Clearly, that vote shows that the ghost of open borders, John McCain, is alive and well. And I consider that vote by those 11 Republicans to be seditious and treasonous and a betrayal of the American people and American sovereignty. But that encrusted layer in the swamp of Republicans who do the bidding of cheap wage, thirsty big business, who ally themselves with Soros identity politics demagogues has always been there. It was with us during the Bush years when grassroots immigration enforcement patriots had to fight tooth and nail against the likes of Karl Rove in the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, against another disastrous blanket pardon amnesty of illegal aliens. It was there during the Obama years when many of these establishment open borders Republicans were trying to cut deals with the Gang of Eight disastrous amnesty. And of course, these people have as their agenda the same agenda that the resistance mob and the impeachment palooza circus clowns do, and that is to deny President Trump re-election in 2020.
Right. You know, the last time we went through an impeachment, actually a lot of stuff got done. I mean, we're not quite at an impeachment point yet. We're in the formal inquiry phase. But Republicans were able to work with President Clinton to get a lot of things done. But, you know, we desperately need something done on the southern border. Now that there is so much talk, it seems like impeachment is an inevitability at this point. Is there any hope? Do you have any hope whatsoever that Congress will do something on immigration?
Well, my expectations are always managed. And I think what I find more encouraging this past week are the executive steps that President Trump has taken to finally end catch and release. For example, that's something that he could have done on day one when he entered the Oval Office, but better late than never. And doing everything that he can under his plenary powers granted to him under the Constitution to turn off all these magnets and pull factors. I would say that the worst aspect and symptom of this impeachment palooza is that it overshadowed the most extraordinary speech that I have heard as long as I've been covering politics, that President Trump delivered before the United Nations, a very strong and vigorous speech in defense of American sovereignty and a condemnation that was long overdue of all of these social justice warriors that crusade for open borders in the name of compassion. He called them out and he said there is nothing just about what they are doing. Drawing and incentivizing people here to do reckless things, to come into our country, endangering themselves, their families, and of course, everybody here. And I would love that entire speech to be played over and over again, because that should be the priority. That should be the focus.
It was an important speech, and he was pitch perfect when it came to his message for China. It was so refreshing to hear the President of the United States deliver a direct message to China there in that type of atmosphere. Real quick, we got a minute left. I just wanted to get your take in general about the spectacle we saw on Capitol Hill today, the way Democrats grilled the Director of National Intelligence. Do you think the Democrats' case, Michelle, is any stronger today than it was last week, the week before that?
No, I don't. And this is all Kabuki Theater, and we've seen it all before. And I've talked about how there is an intersection between the open borders radicals and this resistance mob. They use the same tactics. We were here 13 years ago when after the midterms, Nancy Pelosi was pretending to hold the impeachment mob at bay, the minions at bay, and then giving in to them reluctantly. And their goal was to jump off the Russia collusion hoax train, which had reached its dead end, and find a new pretext. This is it.
And now we are. Here we are, right? The fig leaf is gone. The pretext is over. It's impeachment, the party of impeachment. That's the Democratic Party. Michelle, great to see you as always. Thanks so much. Remember to catch Michelle Malkin Investigates this weekend and pick up a copy of her great new book, Open Borders, Inc. Who's Funding America's Destruction? Great to see you, Michelle. You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for breaking news and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, then share it with your friends. Remember, you can watch Newsmax TV live on YouTube. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.